What is New School Dance? New School Dance can be broken into two general terms, hip-hop dance and house dance. From the late 80s, dancing with hip-hop music and house music developed a new school style of hip-hop and house dance, which soon spread over all of America and then was launched upon the rest of the world. The one person who is said to have helped start the spread of hip-hop is Stretch from Mop Top's Elite Force, who joined the old school dance styles of popping, locking and breaking with the new school dance style. Now he is seen as the creative originator of what is now known as hip-hop dance in general. Eric B. and Rakim, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross and Mariah Carey are just some other top artists who have used hip-hop dance in their music video releases. They all continue to have an influence on the world scene, also helping to create new moves. To continue, the one man who helped establish the street dance scene of house dance was Khalif. He was a member of Mop Top's Dance Fusion and witnessed the early times of hip-hop. He is seen as a big representative for hip-hop culture as a whole. In the 90s, Shishi Peniston was the first to use house dance, and from then on saw many other artists using the dance in their music videos. It started in America, and with the help of these people spread to Asia and Europe through workshops, and they are still helping house dance to expand. Another original member of Mop Top's Elite Force, Link, had a strong helping in seeing new school dance spread throughout the world. Other top artists like Michael Jackson, Mariah Carey and Will Smith have used it numerous times in their music videos. Now it is being used in showcases and workshops around the world, keeping its vitality in high action. These people, because they are the originators, need to be recognized. That is why we are going to make the history of the new school clear for you.
People want to know their history. You know, you can't know where you're going until you know where you've come from. What people don't seem to understand is that wherever the music takes off, there's always a dance to go with it.
Let's get back to the dancing.
People really want to learn, you know, what the dance is, what the vocabulary is, what the culture behind it is. And that's a resurgence in the new school across the board. So we're going to discuss the origins of hip-hop as a culture and hip-hop as a dance. Hip-hop culture started in the South Bronx, 1973, in the Sedgwick and Cedar houses. And, you know, it came out of Black and Latino culture of the 60s and the 70s. Hip-hop as a dance comes, you know, from the same culture, you know, in the 70s, before they actually called anything hip-hop. It was just, you know, different parts of the city had their own expression of hip-hop culture. In the Bronx, they had b-boying and, you know, MCs and DJs. But in Brooklyn, we had, you know, what was called, you know, it was b-boying in the Bronx, but in Brooklyn, they called it the freak style. And then we had, you know, in the Bronx, they had rocking, and in Brooklyn, we had our own version called a Brooklyn rock. And that all gave way to the culture of, you know, hip-hop in terms of, you know, once it caught on to the mainstream. And then hip-hop dance came out of the exploitation of, you know, the hip-hop culture. After the movies, Beat Street, Breakin' 2, you know, all the commercials and tours, you know, the dance aspect of it, i.e. b-boying, popping and locking, kind of died down. It was considered played out. So what happened was a lot of the dancers that were either poppers or b-boys, you know, just got into just strictly dancing, which is just straight social dances. And what happened was, after the, you know, the Beat Street era, as we call it, we just started taking those dances and combining them all together. And, you know, as the b-boys, you know, like to call it freestyle. But we just called it hip hop. And the reason we called it hip hop was because those dances that were being done at the time were all done to specific hip hop records. You know, what separates hip hop dance from b-boying is because b-boying was done to breaks and funk. Now, the breaks came from funk records, from salsa records, from rock records. But hip hop, you know, when you did the WAP, you did it because B-Fats made a rap record, a hip hop record called Do the WAP. You know, we did the Happy Feet to Dougie Fresh, The Show. You know, you do the James Brown to Super Lover C, and, you know, they did a song called Do the James, so you did the James Brown to that song.
So basically you had songs that had dances to the song. So when those songs came on, you did that dance. You didn't do no other dance, just that dance. It's like later you start adding different steps and changing the step and doing it different ways. But whenever that song play, you can play that song today, and people who knows that dance automatically goes to that dance.
What happened was, being that a lot of the dancers came out of popping or breaking, you know, those elements remained mixed with the social dances, and that's how hip hop came about. And when we all got together, we just took, you know, everything that we all did, you know, and just, you know, it was a mix and match and a mash of every style, and that's how hip hop came about. And the same thing with house. You know, house culture comes from, you know, the disco culture, and, you know, it's sort of the younger cousin of hip hop. But, you know, that's why, you know, they call the styles that we do freestyle, because it's a mixture of styles. You know, but all styles are basically the same. They're freestyles. They're social dances before they become styles. And so around, you know, the late 80s, the mid to late 80s is when the Beat Street era died down and the hip hop era started. And in the 90s is when it flourished, you know, and exploded and became a national scene and then an international scene, all the way to now and today. And as the music changed, you know, the dances changed. I just think people, you know, tend to forget why they got into this culture in the first place. You know, and we never have. You know, we got into it because of the music and the love for music. And I think that's what's missing. You know, it's an art form, and, you know, you should treat it as such. What's up, y'all? Buddha Stretch, Elite Force Crew, Mop Top.
What's up, Link, Elite Force Crew, Mop Top.
We're here in the park in New York City, and what we're trying to do today is to give a little history of hip-hop dance, you know, so you know what the names of the steps are and the history behind them. We're right here in Lower Manhattan, near a bunch of clubs that we used to frequent. So what we're going to try and do is break down a few steps and the history behind them, like the Smurf, the Prep, you know, old school street dance, rather old school social dance, you know, that primarily made up what we call hip hop today. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a dance called the Smurf. It's from the early 80s. It's just really a street and social dance, and got incorporated into hip hop in the late 80s. This is the Smurf. The Smurf, yo.
What's up, y'all? This is Link from Elite Force. What I'm about to show y'all is a dance from the mid 80s, and this dance is called the Prep. That's the prep.
What's up, y'all? So this next dance is called a Reebok, named after the Reebok shoe because it was popular at the time and everybody wore them and, you know, came up with a dance and named it after the shoe.
This next dance, this dance is called the WAP. Where it came from, ask him. All I know is called the WAP.
It's called the WAP because it was made after a record called Do the WAP by B Fats. And when the record played, you did the dance.
And actually in the record, he told you how to do the dance. That was like what a lot of dances, they told you how to do it. That's the WAP.
What's up, y'all? So this next dance is called the Cabbage Patch. It's named after a toy, a doll in the early 80s. Social dance incorporated into hip hop.
What's up, y'all? Back again. This next dance is called the Happy Feet. I guess when you did it, you looked so happy your feet was moving everywhere. Can't tell you where it actually started and come from, but I can tell you this is the name of the dance.
And the dance was done to primarily to Dougie
Fresh, the show.
Rick, the show. When that song
Came on, everybody did this
It's
dance.
called the Happy Feet. Last dance is called a Fila, and in Brooklyn they call it the Rambo because a lot of people got robbed to this song, and the chant of "Go Rambo." When you heard that, you knew something bad was going to happen. So it's originally called a Fila, but you know some places they call it the Rambo because you know Brooklyn was in the house. Now you see a whole group of people doing that around in a circle. Look out for your chain.